Hey guys, Dov here with another underrated unit for Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer, and today having a look at the Hippie Tree Elves, the Hawk Riders coming in now up against Rider of Rohan. I have actually taken the Tomb Kings. I was working on potentially getting a replay of Skeleton Archers for you guys. We're up against, Rider of Rohan's Wood Elves here. Quickly, as things are getting rolling pretty swiftly, we've got Sisters of Thorn, some Deepwood Scouts over on that side, Hawks with the Dragon here in the center, and some more Skirmish Cav hidden here in the back. For myself, Necaro Horsemen, 2 on each flank. We've got a bunch of infantry here, 5 archers, Necropolis Knights for 1 heavy cavalry. Can't leave home without my heavy cavalry. Ark in the black on a chariot, leading the way, Scorpion for some terror. And yeah, this group of Necaro horsemen over here just discovered the hard way that these Deepwood Scouts were not in fact alone over here and had some Sisters of Thorn and Glade Riders waiting in ambush. So that's really bad for me. We're able to focus one of these units of Hawk Riders pretty nicely there in the beginning with all of the Skeleton Archers as they came forward. Spirit Leech on them as well, but they have 15 of their unit models still online, so they can get a regrowth there from the Spellsinger Lore of Life. Heal up quite a bit of that HP. And it is going to be a pretty long, drawn-out skirmish fight as Rider Rohan's brought a cavalry army, who would have thought, from a rider. And yeah, this is a lot of skirmish cavalry too, so it's going to be some technical movements, lots of positioning, trying to keep my units protected against his. But the one thing about Hawk Riders, I can potentially pressure like these Sisters of Thorn and the Glade Riders and everything that's on the ground. The Hawk Riders, though, are up in the air. My only recourse against them really is maybe try and fight them with the Carrion, or obviously just shoot them with the Archers. So that in and of itself is already pretty decent, but another thing that makes Hawk Riders a really kind of solid hybrid, almost like a shock cavalry in a way. They have 40 charge bonus and 45 weapon damage, 34 of which is armor piercing, and although their melee stats are pretty bad, only 25 attack and 18 melee defense, that 42 charge bonus means that they can get some pretty good armor piercing damage done on the charge, especially like, let's say after they've expended all their ammunition, rear charging in the late game can be very, very effective. So, as it is right now, doing some MLG plays here, letting Rider Rohan pick apart these Necaro horsemen. That might be important later, but as it is, just keeping these other Necaro horsemen safe as much as possible. Want to try and conserve them into the late game, and just forming up out in the open so my archers can have space to work with. Don't want to give the elves any woods to work with, obviously. So, yep. Arcan's going to be tossing consistent Spirit Leeches as well. And here comes Burst of On-Rare as I overextend, trying to get after these Deepwood Scouts. The Sisters of Thorn are able to come in and get a really good engagement on these Necaro Horsemen. Sisters of Thorn with their heavy physical resistance aren't going to take much damage, especially while the melee attack is debuffed from the Necaro Horsemen. Sort of those two things in tandem will work quite well. And I'm a little bit late on the follow-up with these Necropolis Knights, but they're eventually going to get in there, start to do a little bit of help. Some of my Skeleton Archers have taken some counterfire, but mostly they're all still pretty healthy. So, meanwhile, Rider Rohan's pulled back his main skirmish force, repositioning, going to be wheeling up and around again. Take a look over at this kind of engagement on the side here. Necropolis Knights charging in. Going to absolutely eat, just house these, these Deepwood Scouts here, despite the Shield of Thorns. It will take some damage for their efforts, though. Getting shot in the back a little bit by those Glade Riders. The Sisters of Thorn eating a Spirit Leech as well. Decided to overcast it to get it at extra range. I don't know if that was actually worth it, to be honest, but another thing as well, since my archers, I'm consciously kind of keeping them in a very tight formation, but I'm also having a hard time keeping them from blobbing up too much when they're shooting. Just because this is such a mobile Wood Elf force, I want to try and keep my missile units protected as best I can, and it's easier if they're all kind of in one place. That being said, it's also easier for him to disrupt. They're all in one big haphazard blob like this, so I'm going to try and get them reorganized real quick before he charges in, if he does charge in. Meanwhile, the Carrion are coming back around. taking some shots, and I really need to be taking these shots on the skeletons more than anything. I mean, this unit of skeleton warriors right here is doing its job perfectly and just eating all of the arrows, you know, catching them with the shields in their faces. This crumbling is pretty negligible here. It's fine to just take it on one of these low-tier units, but like taking it on my mobile units especially is going to be rough, because I'm going to need them for sure. The Tomb Scorpion, though, being basically completely healthy is pretty nice. Necropolis Knights also looking pretty fresh still, so despite all of the back and forth, these are still pretty even. More Spirit Leeches on the Sisters there will chew away a handful of models. And it's the only real magic damage I have, so the only way to get directly at them. These Deepwood Scouts over here just about used up most of their ammunition and have done a great job picking away my Nekar Horsemen. Hawk Riders also still have quite a bit of ammo left, and look at this unit. It's getting reasonably close to its healing cap from all the healing they've sustained. Still 15 unit models there, and again, a little bit of a mistake by me playing forward with these Carrion. We needed to keep them back and safe, but was getting a little bit greedy. Thought maybe I'd go after those Hawk Riders in melee, but as it is right now, they're just getting destroyed by the mass of Wood Elf missiles here. My slow skeletons plodding along, trying to get in range, but obviously the superior Wood Elf mobility allows them to reposition, concentrate their fire all in one place very quickly. Necropolis Knights do have a little bit of missile block chance, but it's still not great, and with that poison, man, they're down to 50 speed. It's really rough. The fact that Sisters of Thorn and these Glade Riders, too, both have poison, it's working against me, and has been working against me, too, as I've been trying to operate my Nekar Horsemen. We're mostly gone at this point. We've still got a handful right here. But we're going to throw them over on this side, trying to force an engagement maybe with these Deepwood Scouts. I know they're almost out of ammunition anyway, but it's really the only unit I can get my paws on there. Have to be careful, though. Prey of Anathrema on Arkan the Black. I'm going to go ahead and just throw in the Carrion on a YOLO charge, try and pressure these Hawk Riders off. If I can rout this unit of Hawk Riders, still got quite a bit of ammunition left. That's going to be a nice pick for me. But currently Arkan's getting absolutely lit up. Liber Mortis tries to counteract some of that. Prey of Anathrema has dropped. And over here you can see Nekar Horsemen get charged by the Sisters of Thorn using Shield of Thorns. Deepwood Scouts pulling away there, and yeah, the Sisters of Thorn will actually trade okay against the Nekar Horsemen. Necropolis Knights will start to change that, but the escalation starts to pull over the rest of Rider of Rohan's forces. He's going to wheel back around this way, and yeah. Blade Riders getting in on a rear charge here. Necropolis Knights are obviously a pretty superior melee unit. All of these Wood Elf units here, but the fact they're so heavily outnumbered at this point, the Wood Elves also getting some nice healing sustain. Sisters of Thorn, still 13 unit models, getting a regrowth there to keep them in the fight. My Nekar Horsemen here just about gone, and these ones are basically done for. So, it's not the best. My YOLO Carrion charge also failed to finish off this unit of Hawk Riders. We did rout them, dropped them down to 9 unit models, but just couldn't quite finish them off, very painfully so. And the Necropolis Knights, you can see now things kind of starting to turn against them from the numbers game. Like I said, especially as the Nekar Horsemen disappear, we're going to throw in a Skeleton Summon. First, I've actually used here. Haven't really had many opportunities to use it from Arkan. I also don't know that I'm going to get a chance to use another one, given that I need to be in melee to recharge that, and there's not a lot of opportunities for Arkan to be in melee. Even given his, current state of health, he probably doesn't want to be in melee anyway. Thankfully, I can take solace in the fact that the Tomb Scorpion's still alive, and I'm actually somewhat ahead on the balance of power right now because of that summoned unit of Skeleton Warriors. They count for a lot on the balance of power. But unfortunately, they are just a unit of skeletons. Not like they can catch any of this Wood Elf cavalry here. And Prey of Anathrema there. Again, on Arkan the Black, looks like the dragon's going to be moving up for a breath attack. Fun fact, breath attacks count as missile damage, so missile resistance and so on does affect them. Prey of Anathrema removing Arkan's innate character missile resistance momentarily, allowing that breath to be that much more effective. A little bit of extra damage there, but the dragon's definitely paying for it. Focus fire of the skeleton archers being felt, and only 50 armor on the dragon means that a lot of that non-AP damage is going to get through, even after factoring in the physical resistance. These Hawk Riders, though, 18 unit models, and used up all their ammunition. Get an XP chevron, only 14 kills somehow, but still been able to do some consistent DPS. And now in the late game, they can potentially come down from the air, try and bring things back. It's not looking great for the Wood Elves right now. They're pretty thin on the ground, all things considered. And at this point, you know, I do have a few units to try and protect, but Rider Rohan probably wants to come start pressuring my skeleton archers, you know, in melee, because he has, I mean, there's really just skeletons mostly protecting them as well, right? Like I mentioned, the Tomb Scorpion's still here. Arcan, though, is so low, as are these Necropolis Knights, that they're not going to be that much of a factor, especially if you support with the Glade Lord there. Here come the Hawk Riders, though. One nice thing about the Hawk Riders is they can bypass those protecting skeletons and just charge down from the air. Go straight to the disruption. Decide to nope out for the time being, allow those Blade Riders to use up the last of their ammunition, which they now have. Skeleton Archers returning fire, though. Here comes another Prey of Anathrema and Breath combo. I do get the Liber Mortis protecting in time to help mitigate some of that damage, although, actually, now that I say that, I think this actually counts as magic damage. If I'm maybe not, actually. I'd have to go back and double check. Could be wrong about that. I know it has magic melee attacks, but anyway. Necropolis Knights just being used to kind of screen here, try and keep Arkan the Black safe. These Glade Riders, though, man, 40 kills, some XP chevron action going on. And we do get a little bit of an escalated engagement here. I'm going to pull up my Shabti summon in anticipation of the Glade Lord diving down here. Unfortunately, I didn't quite position it correctly. I was hoping to get a full surround on the Glade Lord. You can see here immediately the Hawk Riders rush in, getting a nice rear charge on these Ushabti. Ushabti also don't have the best melee defense in the world, so yeah, you can see once the Hawk Riders start doing their animations, Ushabti take a lot of damage, all things considered. They're going to start to go down very, very quickly, considering they're just fighting hawks, right? It's just hawks. At least that's what most people would think. And that has brought the balance of power back, and obviously with the skeleton summon wearing off and everything else. Yeah, not looking great. The Shabti summon being burned as well. Did some damage, was able to rout off a handful of units, actually broke this other Hawk Rider again. But yeah, I mean, this unit of Hawk Rider still, again, 17 unit models online. They have plenty of healing cap space left, and they basically just paid for themselves again, helping to take out those Ushabti, right? So, really, really nice hybrid utility there. And the Glade Lord, still decently healthy. I'm starting to run out of ammunition also on my Skeleton Archers, which is not great. I mean, it is great in that I've been able to use all of my ammunition, but I haven't finished off a lot of the high-value targets that I need to, like these Hawk Riders, for example. Going to come in once again, and look at that charge, man. Starts to wreck on these Skeleton Archers. They can quickly then pull away, get back up into the air. They do have kind of bad mass, though. As you can see, they do have a bit of a hard time disengaging. Similar problem with, like, Pegasus Knights, or even Hippogriff Knights sometimes. As soon as they're back up, though, looks like they're going to come around for another charge. And again, keep going after those archers. Keep disrupting, not allowing them to counterfire. And now they get the follow-up of some Sisters of Thorn. Got Earthblood in here as well, giving them a bit of healing. Glade Riders also. Here comes the dragon. Oh, nice top-down. Arrows of Kurnos just blasts Arkan the Black. He deserved it, for the record. And these Hawk Riders is pushing away all of my archers here. With the loss of Arkan, a lot of these units are going to be sent into crumbling. I do thankfully have this one Skeleton Spear, my only Skeleton Spear, still healthy here. Obviously, they haven't fought anyone this entire time. They can try and help protect these archers as best they can. While the archers are crumbling, they can use up the rest of their ammunition. Nice Earthblood, though. 8 Sisters of Thorn there. Good catch. Keep them in the fight. Obviously heals the Glady as well. Look at the Hawk Riders. Look at these Hawk Riders. I mean, I have spears, I say in quotations, protecting. These Hawk Riders do not care. They are going to swoop down regardless and make sure these skeletons keep crumbling and cannot continue firing. Look at this. There's 11 Hawk Riders like, interrupting 3 units of skeleton archers right there. That's actually pretty impressive for the Hawk Riders. Also says something about my micro, but anyway. You can see the Tomb Scorpion in here. I don't really want to fight the Glady straight up. I definitely want to try and play off those spears if I can. A lot of the skeleton archers are out of ammo now, so they're going to be sent to their second doom here. Hawk Riders charge down, though, in support of the Glady, springing her loose. That is going to be pretty much it for them, though. Still haven't got an XP chevron, funny enough. And at this point, I'm actually feeling okay about things. Using up the last of my ammo against this Glade Lord, as long as I can fight with, like, the Tomb Scorpion on top of the spears, I should be okay, despite what the balance of power may have you think. Still feeling relatively confident at this point, but these Glade Riders, man, 41 unit models still there, basically completely healthy and fresh as well in terms of vigor. Absolutely massive. Coming in and mopping up more of these tattered skeletons. There's only so much that this Tomb Scorpion can do, especially as I'm trying to avoid directly fighting the Glady here. These slow spears finally get in here to start pulling down some of the Elf Cavalry. And they do pull away there. At least we're able to kind of zone them out, but we'll see. I mean, it would come down to a lot of RNG with these Skeleton Spearmen if I'm able to fight the Glade Lord. I mean, granted, with large model count units like skeletons, the RNG tends to even out a little bit just because of the law of large numbers. You know, more times you do the dice roll, more likely you are to achieve like an average result, right? So, actually, you know, it's not so RNG dependent as, for example, a single entity. Single entities fighting each other. One, you know, big attack animation is one giant dice roll, whereas these guys have like maybe a dozen dice rolls all going at the same time, constantly cycling through. You're guaranteed to have some of those be hitting, especially as some of them will be in the side and rear arc where they're subject to less melee defense. Here, though, we're going to try and defend against these Glade Riders. See if I can get a side charge there, get a terror route. Scorpion doing its best. But, oh, that breath attack just destroys my spears, absolutely devastates those skeleton spearmen, and that's pretty much my last hope there. This Scorpion's going to do its darndest to try and hold out, but it can't fight this Glady 1v1 without support, and the spear support is no longer there, so it is what it is. Very well played to Ryder Rohan in a super close game. One of the more interesting games I've had. I can't recall the last time I had a shootout between Elves and Tomb Kings that didn't involve any constructs or Way Watchers. Interesting. I guess no shooting constructs. I was definitely thinking towards the end of this, like, man, I wish I had a Bone Giant throughout the course of this. I think actually if I had replaced those Necropolis Knights, I would have had to retool a couple things as well. Maybe drop one Carrion or something to get a Bone Giant. Would have been really nice against all of this cavalry. Bone Giant would have traded very, very efficiently. Just in general, I feel like I probably should have had more constructs here. The one Scorpion was last unit alive, got an XP chevron. Didn't even get that many kills, but certainly was useful. And in hindsight, definitely the 5 Skeleton Archer thing, I think, number 1, could potentially be tough to protect against, like, mass Wild Riders and stuff. Number 2, I think trying to outshoot the Wood Elves with undead archers is probably not the best idea in hindsight, but I actually did okay, all things considered. I would chalk that up to a few things. Number 1, Ryder Rohan doing a great job keeping his Hawk Riders alive in the late game, using a healing to its best effect, and also playing very patiently, using up all of his ammo on all of his units. So credit to him for sure there. Likewise, slipping a little bit with my Nakara Horseman and the Carrion. Definitely felt that in the late game. That lack of mobility cost me quite a bit, not being able to keep the Glady and the Spellsinger tied to the ground there. And yeah, the Hawk Riders, again, they didn't, I guess one of them did get an XP chevron, 54 kills and an XP chevron, 198 kills for the Glady, holy cow. And 62 for Sisters of Thorn, 65, 51 for these Glade Riders, 54, 83 kills for Deepwood Scouts. I definitely had a large model count army, which same can't be said of Ryder Rohan, 365 units, one for each day of the year, or 365 models, I should say. And yeah, kind of my kill totals kind of reflect that, but it's an interesting one for sure. The Hawk Riders are, just to kind of finish things out, are a unit that you should consider, especially if you're going with a powerful flying force, like, you know, potential Glade Dragon. Yeah, they do synergize pretty well with both Glade Lord variants. Obviously, the Glady having Prey von Athrema, you can get a bit more value from the missile attacks. Speaking of which, their missile attacks, if we have a look here, they do a pretty good amount of damage. I mean, it's not quite like a monstrous infantry melee attack, but in fact, it's quite a bit lower. More like a regular unit's melee attack, but they do have a pretty fast refire rate. 8 armor-piercing damage is also pretty solid for that type of a bow. Yeah, decent AP, decent ammunition, and again, that hybrid utility of being able to charge down from the air once that is all expended. If you are expecting to maybe have to take a big pitched air fight, taking the Glade Lord with the Helm of Discord, and you'll also get this little melee attack buff. Give the Hawk Riders a little bit more extra punching power. Then the Helm of Discord, obviously, very, very key. If you want to take this, it's kind of overpriced, but the plus 8% charge bonus is okay. I mean, it's honestly not much. 8% of 40 is, I can't do math right now, but that's not a lot, honestly, right? That's less than 4. So it is a little bit of extra charge, though, and every little bit helps, and you do get the extra melee attack as well. Obviously, Hawk Riders don't cause fear. Interesting. I thought they did. That would make them cause fear, but I mean, you got a dragon in there anyway, so like you really need it. But yeah, going with him up in the air with a few Hawk Riders to try and win a big pitched air fight with like 2 dragons, 3 Hawk Riders, something like this. I think it is even technically legal to go with max 5 flying units, 2 dragons, 4 Hawk Riders, then just go with a ground force from there. Alternately, you know, you don't necessarily have to go down that route. Like Red of Rohan and I played another game that I'm not going to show you, but I did. I brought the Wood Elves and actually brought Durthu. Yeah, let me know if you guys want to see that game. Maybe I can publish it in a separate video. But yeah, I had Durthu in there providing an anchor, kind of the anvil, if you will, and then the Hawk Riders used up their ammunition and charged down as the hammer in the late game against Warriors of Chaos, and it was pretty effective, I have to say. Yeah, just a multitude of uses for them. Rear charging cavalry, recharging infantry. Cavalry especially, I would say, like, Bretonnia is probably considered the hardest matchup for the Wood Elves. Hawk Riders, if you can not get them killed by Pegasus Knights in this matchup, actually, if your opponent doesn't go with, you know, any air units at all, I would say probably unlikely. Probably likely to see Lewin in this matchup, at the very least. But if he's up there in the air alone against like 3 Hawk Riders, for example, and maybe you toss in the Glade Lord as well for that Helm of Discord, all of a sudden, I mean, with the Helm of Discord, you could probably even beat, definitely not Royal Pegasus Knights, but the regular Pegasus Knights, absolutely. And in fact, we can kind of just compare a little bit. It is an interesting comparison. They're kind of flying cavalry. One definitely more melee focused, one with a ranged attack. But yeah, I mean, you can see comparable weapon strength stats. Pegasus Knights have obviously more, just overall. Less armor piercing, though. Armor piercing damage pretty solid, and 55 charge. Again, not that much higher than the Hawk Riders. Hawk Riders obviously way less armor, less HP, definitely squishier overall. Gain that ranged attack, but yeah, given the melee stats differential, +9, +8, yeah, I mean, obviously with Helm of Discord, that would swing that pretty decisively, and as long as you didn't just eat the charge directly with the Hawk Riders and take way too much damage, like you probably want to take the charge on the Glade Lord, that would probably work. I don't know, it's risky. I haven't actually tried, but those of you guys who have more experience playing Wood Elves, if you tried something like that against Bretonnia, definitely let us know how it worked or didn't work. But yeah, I guess I've rambled on long enough about these lads. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.